co-host, Dan Berta.
I am her Ed McMahon. One day I'll be an old, drunk alcoholic that sits on the side bench next to successful people. Coach, take it away.
But I'll always love you, Dan.
Thank you. Can I live in your guest house?
Yes, you may. Okay, so we're here today. Thank you. We've had overwhelmingly positive feedback from our first show, so we're thrilled to be here again. And rest assured, in the weeks and months to come, we're going to continue to innovate to make it fun, informative, and just a good time.
What was some of the feedback that you got? Did your husband watch it?
He did. My whole family watched it.
Okay. And you know, you are a straight woman on Gay Life TV, and I wanted to touch a little bit on that today. Why do you feel the relationship gay-straight is important?
Well, first of all, we had some feedback about the show, so it's a good thing to address. Well, here at Gay Life Television, they realized that, hey, a lot of the issues that we face, stress, anxiety, worry, fears, phobias, limitations, all things emotional intelligence, are really universal. No one group has the corner on these issues, so wake up and smell the dumpster, folks. We're providing education and entertainment and helpful techniques for everyone.
Yeah, and don't mess with her.
Don't.
So, what's on our schedule today? I know that you wanted to thank some of our TV people.
I do, and I even
memorized
wrote this down.
their names, I think.
Well, you know, not quite, so I want to move ahead with that. First of all, I want to thank Roku, Justin.tv, Club Mondo TV, and Smart TV. But I want to circle back to Club Mondo TV for a moment. Last week, we said that we would tell you what it was because we weren't sure.
Yeah, what is it?
And we always do what we say we're going to do. It's actually a platform where anyone can develop a following for their reality or to share. So if you want to try to start a reality television show in your home and get a webcam and see what you can follow and share with others. If you're doing something really innovative and creative at work or with a group and you want to bring people into your process, it's a nice platform. They turn you into stars, S-T-A-R-Z. So it's an innovative new idea.
Well, Monique, I have to tell you, you really do your research.
I always do what I say I'm going to do.
Can people also purchase a whistle?
You cannot. There's 2 customized whistles done by a local artisan, and they are for Coach Monique. If we franchise, we'll probably offer another color, maybe a purple whistle in the franchise, but the red whistles are for me.
I want blue.
Okay. I will make an exception.
So, enliven the world with what today's discussion is about. What is your topic?
Choices and decisions. Everyone, everywhere, every moment is making decisions. But we're so used to making them, we often don't realize we're doing it. I love this analogy, like explain water to a fish. Very difficult because a fish only knows water. We're always making decisions, so we lose sight of the fact that we're actually doing it. And everyone has a unique process for their decision making, and it's important to understand that choosing and decisions, they're a process.
I agree. I think decision making can probably give people a lot of stress. Buying a house, choosing a new job, it's all making a decision.
Well, decisions can be very difficult because with every decision, and I do mean every decision, there's also a loss. Because for every door that opens, another door closes. So if you go right, that means you've closed the door for now on left, at least until the next decision.
Okay.
So that's one of the challenges with decisions. Also, another thing we see with decisions are, you brought up difficult ones. So sometimes when we're facing a difficult decision, we can have paralysis by analysis, meaning we just keep beating the dead horse and we just keep analyzing it and we're not really making any traction forward. And the thing that's really dangerous about that is no decision is a decision. And when you don't make a decision, you open the door for just maybe someone else to make the decision for you.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question. So decision making, life coaching, how does that connect today with our show?
Well, first of all, the ability to communicate your needs. So oftentimes you're not making a decision in a vacuum. You're making it with someone else. And so we all need to be able to communicate our needs and our wants, and being able to do that while owning your own decision and owning your own process, but working with someone else as well.
So what's a decision you're currently really deep in life? Would you share that with the world? Like a decision that you're kind of making at this point in your life?
Well, a decision that I've made is stressing me out.
Or whatever.
Well, a decision that I've made is really, I've been working for the last 10 years in coaching and teaching, and the decision I've made in the past year is to do that full time. So for me, it's processing and transitioning into full-time work, but I have 4 boys, but the youngest 2 11-year-old twins are still home.
Who's your favorite?
I have no favorites. No favorites.
See, my
Never
brother
have.
was the favorite.
A lot of people
So-
think that, but I don't
He
believe
was.
that that's true, Dan.
Was. So I'm playing a vicious joke on my parents, and they think I'm gay, but I'm not.
Dan,
No, I'm joking.
your mother has no favorites.
Okay, so decisions obviously then leads to choices, which is the
Choices,
next
and you make
little
choices. So like for me
thing
now,
on your
I make
bullet.
choices when ordinarily I would be home or I would be doing something more family or domestic oriented. I leave that to my husband oftentimes, and I go out into the world and I work, and I say, I'll catch you later.
Cool. So Coach Monique, I have to tell you, a decision that I'm making right now is we're doing a challenge with each other. So I challenged Coach to T25.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
don't even know what that is.
So I want you to think by the end of the show of my challenge. Okay?
I have a challenge for you already.
Already?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
You can't give what you don't have, and I challenge you to T25 takes 30 minutes, you said?
25.
25.
That's why I
Well,
call
I'm
it
gonna go.
T25.
Oh, all right. Okay, well, I'm going to go to 30. I'm going to challenge you to engage in 30 minutes of emotional self-care for your own happiness each day.
Okay.
So that could be in the form of meditation, journaling.
Well, at the end of the night, when I'm done editing and I'm tired, I think that's a good time to kind of do it right before you go to bed too.
Well, you shouldn't work so late that you're just so tired that you marginalize it. Cut out of
I'll
work
wake up
30 minutes
sometimes on
early.
the bathroom room floor.
Let's just say every night at 11 to 11:30 you engage in self-care. You can go back to work after that if you'd like.
Okay.
But set a time so you're committed.
How much time?
30 minutes.
All right, right now.
We're on.
All right, when do you want the DVDs?
As soon as I get a DVD player, so I'll be doing
All
that
right.
this weekend.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take before pictures and after pictures, okay?
Okay.
And Coach, I want you to also challenge a lot of people that might be making a decision today about their weight. I have a lot of clients that sit in my chair and are very insecure about their weight. And, they tell me when they walk into places, they constantly feel like, oh, everyone's looking at a fat person.
Well,
And
no.
It's something that, do you think that you could almost do a group for this group? Because I think they are searching for
Well,
something.
absolutely.
You know what I
But the important thing to focus on when we're criticizing our body is, even if there's something health-wise wrong, unless you're at really the end stage of life, there are always more positives and things that the body's doing well and things that are good about the body than not working well or not good.
Okay.
So even when you think, oh, my ass is fat, but your body is still really functioning and getting you through the day.
I agree. So would you be game if we set Miss Cahill over there up to do a little marketing thing? Coach Monique has a growing fan base. Would like you to hit the Facebook page. If people maybe inbox you their name, if they're local, they can meet you at your office for a weigh-in and set similar to my mom used to do a 10-pound haircut. If they lost 10 pounds, they got something. So maybe if they hit a milestone, they'll get a free class, or they'll get a free and you can be their emotional coach.
I'm game.
Okay.
Any way I can help
And
you.
then I can be their body coach.
Oh, that sounds very exciting.
All right, so Monique, you sometimes interview people on the streets. We
I
did
do.
a little weather video down in.
Market Square.
Wait, did you have anything else about choices or
I
decisions?
did. You actually jumped right over decisions.
Did I? Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So it's important to understand that decisions are a process. And
Okay.
everyone has a very highly unique process based on their experiences, their expectations, their goals. And so, for example, if it's someone like you, you're looking for people who just want to get on the bandwagon and everybody succeed and everyone do well. So you're very inclusive. So your decision-making process is going to look different than someone who's, what's in it for me?
Right.
So that decision-making, that's an example of very divergent, different processes.
Right.
So understanding, first of all, when you're making decisions, be aware that you're making a decision. Be mindful. What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? Are you being impulsive? Are you moving towards something, or are you moving away from something? Also understanding that because we're always making decisions and no one has a crystal ball with 100% accuracy, that sometimes you're going to make decisions that don't work out. Own your decisions, even the ones that don't work out, because that's the only power you have. If you're always blaming someone else or external circumstances, then you're a victim, and victims really don't have any power. So you disempower yourself when you don't own your decisions.
Have you ever done that?
We've all done that.
I never have.
Also, another important factor that when you said we've all done this, it's your need to be right over your need to be happy. And
Right.
so oftentimes in relationships in particular, we'll make decisions and say and do things and implement actions because we want to be right. And
Okay.
so in relationship, I encourage people around decisions. You have two people in a relationship, so you and Ron.
Right.
So look at your decisions around relationships and how you interact with relationships as you, Ron, and the union.
Right.
The
Well, let's use
relationship.
this as a technique. Maybe everyone can do right now.
Okay. so-
Okay? So we're going to use me and Ron right now. Ron, I hope you're watching. I'm going to dirty all the laundry. Go ahead.
Okay, so if you're angry or upset with Ron about something,
Today.
or you're peeved, you're just peeved.
A little bit.
Okay,
Always.
so he wants you to do something that you necessarily don't want to do. Maybe he
Okay.
wants you to stay home and spend an evening in, and you want to spend an evening out in the world working.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with that.
Okay.
So you might say, well, this is what I want to do.
I want to go out with Aaron and make videos.
Right, and he's like, well, I would like us to spend some high quality time together.
Let's
alone."
sit on the couch and watch Jeopardy.
It's
Okay.
not up to me to judge.
Okay.
So you might, for yourself, want to say, Dan, I want to do what I want to do.
Right.
I'm a little peeved at Ron, so I don't really feel like doing something to stroke Ron's ego or make Ron feel all warm and fuzzy.
Correct.
Because I'm a little peeved.
Right.
But the relationship is its own separate entity. So you can say, for the value of the relationship,
Right.
for the good of the relationship, and everything has to be about some sacrifice
So
on
I always
both
say
sides.
if I wasn't with someone like Ron, someone like me would probably be dead in the gutter.
Well, opposites attract, and there's balance. But give yourself a little more credit, please.
Hey, Monique, remember when you told me that I should put vodka in a water bottle?
No, wrong. No, Dan. I did not say that. But who am I to judge?
Okay.
So you do things because for the relationship. This is particularly useful when you and your partner aren't getting along, and all relationships ebb and flow. Sometimes
So when
we're
I'm
really in the
peeved at
flow.
Ron and we're in this state of mind,
Right.
I should say, hey, Ron, you look awesome today.
As long as that feels authentic. And I always say, and Ron always looks fabulous.
Right,
But
he does.
Really, even when you're really aggravated or peeved, there's always some
So what's
qualities.
something I could say? Well, there is. Like I said, like he makes my lunch sometimes.
He makes your lunch. Thank you. That was a
all the
delicious
time.
lunch.
Delicious lunch.
A delicious
all the
lunch.
time. He loves me. So yeah, you're right.
So right, and so maybe he got up and walked the dog so you could sleep in because you worked late.
Right. Right.
So focus on those kinds of things, and it
And
will
it does.
help bring
I
you
actually
together.
feel better about him right now. Now I feel bad.
It's all right.
That's
You can
okay.
call. You
Okay.
can text him on the break.
Okay.
Something really dirty. It'll make
Ooh.
him all excited.
All right. Anything else on that? Choices and decisions.
Not right now. We'll
We're
circle
good. I
back
thought
to it a
with
bit
Lorraine
later.
maybe when we get back, because we're gonna head to your video,
Yes.
the weather video. So weather affecting moods. Now we keep looking at the phone here because the timer. We're not
We're
really
on a timer.
checking.
Right.
Yeah. Weather affects mood.
Well, it can, and for many people it does, and as we'll see in the video, and we'll circle back to that afterwards, you might have already guessed I'm going to say that how we perceive the weather and our decisions and choices around the weather are really decisions and choices. We're
Right.
not a victim of the weather.
Right. I agree.
Right.
And I heard in the Farmer's Almanac this year it's supposed to snow a lot.
Well, I'm not a fan of arguing with reality. It is what it is.
And they said it's gonna be awful.
Based on what? Awful. Why is snow
I don't know,
awful?
like
That's a
everyone's
perception.
like,
If
it's
you're a
gonna be
skier,
horrible. They think that, it's gonna be bad.
it's not going to cancel.
All right, so in a very authoritative way, because you're working on becoming more on camera. I think you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
have a new look. Your outfit looks hot.
How about my red shoes, Dan? You didn't mention my
The red shoes are very hot. What are those? Marciano, Target?
No, these are Black Market White House.
Those are hot.
Last week were my
Monique always
Valentinas.
has heels on. I was shocked whenever you went to the Animal Friends, you actually wore boots, because you always wear like some CFM pump.
I try to be somewhat appropriate, and I
Yeah.
didn't think that the animal friends would, maybe the stilettos wouldn't be a good match. I didn't want to step in any joggy doo-doo.
remember, remember that time you wore the thigh-high boots to that fundraiser
Uh-oh,
for
no, I
Children's
don't remember
Hospital?
Remember, Dan, we're the high-quality content show.
All right, I agree. All right, so Monique, in an authoritative way, look into that camera and ask the gentleman in the control booth, David, to roll that footage. Go ahead.
David, would you please roll the footage?
Hello, we're down here at Market Square asking people how they feel about the weather and how it impacts their mood.
Cool and misty.
Gloomy and cloudy. About to rain.
I'd say drizzly.
And what does the weather do to your mood?
Doesn't change it.
It doesn't change it if it's not too bad.
I think it's great because I don't like the heat.
It's Cardinal game day, so it doesn't matter what the weather is.
Humid and gray. I'm new here. I'm from California, by the way, so I'm still adjusting to it. I like overcast and I like rain a lot, so.
It's beautiful, sunny, and bright.
How do you feel about gloomy weather?
It's okay. Yeah, I like to take a nap.
We were expecting something a lot worse, especially for being in the middle of the city in the middle of the summer, but you know, it's been nice.
Now, how does the weather generally affect you?
We're from Ohio, so if you wait 5 minutes, it changes.
That's my decision to go outside. If it's too hot, I don't. If it's too cold, I don't. If it's too hot, I get grumpy.
Right now, it's very humid and it feels sticky. Makes me sad.
As you can see, the response to the question, how do you define the weather, is very varied. Some people see an overcast, kind of humid day as great, beautiful, perfect. Other people see it as gloomy and depressing. The weather does affect our moods, but how much of it is natural and how much of it is learned? That we'll be discussing later in a blog.
Welcome back, and here's our guest today, Lorraine Berta. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
For those who don't know, this is Dan Berta's mother.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Monique. What a great show. I'm having fun already.
Oh, that's what we want to hear. Now, you and I talked earlier in the week about your decision-making process and some of your big decisions in life.
Yes.
And you were just a natural choice for tonight's show.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you for coming on and choosing to
be
share with these. Can you talk about one of the decisions we spoke about on the phone to sell a very successful hair salon that you had built yourself, that business downtown,
Yes.
to move to the suburbs? Can you talk a little bit about that?
You know, it was actually quite an easy decision to make. A buyer presented himself to me wanting to buy the space where I had established a very nice studio downtown Pittsburgh. And I saw it as my ticket out of town to go back to the suburbs where I grew up in Westview, North Hills area, and work right out of my own hometown. So it was actually a very easy decision for me to make. When I make my decisions and choices, I do not think of what I'm leaving behind, but what I'm approaching and what I'm going into and what I'm working towards.
I really like that you don't move away from something as much as you move towards something that you want.
I like to gravitate towards something rather than run away or move away.
Yeah, and some people might get confused and think that's very similar, but it's actually very, very different. So good, okay. Secondly, you had mentioned that you lost your mom when you were only 13.
Correct.
And you made a decision either consciously or subconsciously that now you were the caregiver for your dad and your siblings. Can you talk about that?
Right, absolutely. When I was 13 years old, soon to be 14, one evening my mother at the age of 34 passed away. I, at the time, had 2 younger sisters and a younger brother. And my dad looked at me and said, "I need you." And the power of him saying that to me just kind of filled me with, I believed him. I knew that what he was saying was true. I knew that he did need me, and I knew that my 2 younger sisters and my younger brother needed someone to help them. I was very grateful that I had my mother as long as I did, but I was also very grateful that I was given the opportunity that now I could move into a position to be an even stronger role model to my sisters and brothers. So now, actually, that we're all grown up, I practice being the best sister that I can be to them, not the best mother, because I really never was their mother, but I like to be the best sister. But yes, I take every decision or challenge on as an opportunity to allow it to better myself, to learn and grow and progress, because a long time ago, one of my mentors, Mr. Zigarelli, told me that, yes, he's a fantastic
Fabulous
man. Told me that we're very much like a piece of fruit. We start to grow, we start to ripe, and as we ripen, we need to continue to ripen and not continue to go in reverse into rot. So you always need to learn and grow and keep going and look at everything in life as an opportunity and not a disappointment, not a disadvantage. And cherish the moment that you have. I mean, live in the moment, and always remember this: when you're making your choices and your decisions, you make a choice, follow through. If it's not working out the way you thought it out, you can make another choice. You're never really married to one choice.
And that's what I like about that choice. You made a choice later down the road.
Right,
First, you made a choice to step into that more parental role, and then as they got older, you made a choice to alter that decision and go in a different direction.
Always given a second opportunity, always.
So true. Now, we talked about you lost your mom when she was so young.
Yes.
And then oftentimes with the same-sex parent, then we fear that we may die around the same time or die when we're young as well.
Right.
How did that impact your decisions around parenting?
Of course, being that my mother died young, I felt as if I was going to die young. So what I did in raising my children, and with the help with a very good friend and a fabulous pediatrician, I asked her to guide me as to how I can best help my sons to grow up and be more independent. So I asked her if she would guide me as to what are they capable of at certain ages. So I'm not asking too much of them, however,
Age appropriate.
age appropriate. So at certain ages, they were putting clothes away, pulling clothes out. They were doing laundry. They were making grilled cheese. They were making soup. They were cooking food in the crock pot. They were doing a lot of things. And by 17 years old, they were buying alcohol. So I think that maybe I achieved, what I was really after to do.
I think you did, and obviously it worked out beautifully. You're still here, but the consequence was, the intended consequence, and in some ways unintended consequence, was
Correct.
that they grew up to be mature, responsible, independent young men.
Right.
To whom you're so proud of.
Very.
Okay. I also wanted to talk to you about when your father was at end of life.
Yes.
And how, rather than, that's a very fearful time and a sad time, but you moved into that consciously and made decisions about care and aftercare.
Right. Taking care of an elderly parent, you can look at this in so many ways. And I have a lot of clients my age, younger, possibly older, who are taking care of older parents. And decisions that they're faced with every day can be very, very difficult. But always remember this: it truly is an opportunity and a privilege to be able to take care of one of your parents who have brought you into this world and given life. So if you look at it as an opportunity to help them
and a privilege
advance into, an older age, and a privilege to take care of them, to help them. I mean, we were with my dad up until the moment that he passed away, and it was a privilege for me to see him enter into his next life.
Great. Well, thank you. Now, the one thing the really important question of the night I wanted to ask you, in part because we're here on Gay Life Television. When Dan came out to you, what was your decision process, if any, but everything's always a decision around that, and how you handled it and the choices that you made?
There really was no decision. When Dan told me on the phone that he was gay, I told him, I said, Dan, I'm your mother, you're my son, nothing has changed. I love you just as much today as I did yesterday. I will defend the man that he is until the day I die, because I know he's a beautiful human being. I was blessed with twins, 2 sons. I've got the best of all worlds. I have one gay son and one straight son.
Oh, lucky
That's
you.
pretty thing work. Oh, are you, Dan? Okay.
Well,
Always something new.
I wish that there were more parents who were able to make that decision and move into that space of choice in a way like that. Well, I would like to take a moment to personally thank you for being on the show and to present you with the Coach Monique gift pack of the Coach Monique Happiness Hall of Fame Award. Coach
Coach Monique, I didn't expect this. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
So you have
Thanks,
your
Sarah.
award for happiness, and
Aw.
the prize pack is the Coach Monique M&Ms with this nice mug with the whistle, and of course a luxury pen for writing in your journal all the things that you're
Aw,
grateful
Coach
for.
Monique, thank you so much, and thank you so much for the service that you provide, because you help so many people, and I love the fact that you take people forward. You don't concentrate on where they came from, why they are the way they are, but that they recognize where they are and they wish to move on. It's beautiful.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Dan, give your mother a hug.
Love you.
Love you. You're beautiful, and I'm gonna steal the mic. You're hogging my airtime. I'm joking.
And I kind of like it. I kind of like it. I think I could be a
Hey, everybody,
regular.
look, I'm done. I'm on
Be
the
a
shirt.
regular.
So, Mom, do you feel that at the salon that a lot of people, I might be their first experience with an openly gay person?
I think that you're
Vividly gay. We could go with that.
Yeah, I think that you're their first experience with somebody who is very truthful, forthright, and you are who you are
Comfortable.
all the time and comfortable.
I'll take that.
And that's powerful. So many people
Yeah.
just can't be comfortable with who they are all the time.
And the
And that's
fact
where
that-
You
happiness
better
lives.
well damn be
And the
in this
fact
world.
that you accept people as they are,
Right.
too, and people feel comfortable.
Yeah, and everyone should. If you judge people, you're an asshole, period. You're just a damn asshole.
No, it's.
Well, we all
I wouldn't
judge
say that.
sometimes.
I would just
We
say
all
it's
do.
a-
We do.
I would
But-
just say it's a lack of intelligence.
Mom, I love
Well,
you. Take your
thank
stuff.
you again.
Well, take my stuff
Take
and
your
get out of
Here,
here.
go.
Thank you.
Hey, Vanna. All right, Coach, so you just have a little time. So
Okay.
that's why I wanted to go on to questions and answers here.
Oh, we have the confessional,
This
a
is the
juicy
confessional here.
segment every week.
You're gonna, let's see, I would suggest, let's start with these two. All right,
Go with that.
ready? Confessional 2.
Okay.
All right, so, hello, Coach Monique. A year ago, I began dating a man I really fell hard for. He has had a really checkered past that includes some illegal activity, a trail of many short-lived broken relationships, hookups, decades of drug use that began when he was a teenager. He left all that behind 5 years before I even met him, but despite all the progress that he has made in life, he seems to fumble around a lot in our relationship. He doesn't really seem to have a good handle on women when I try to share my needs and wants with him. He accuses me of controlling him. He often isn't very considerate and just seems immature despite being in his 50s. Really, there are times that I feel like a teenage son relationship skills. It's been relationship skills. My family urges me to end the relationship, but I love him and I feel like he is a good person. I attend a workshop where you taught an effective communication module, and I tried that with him, but he doesn't get it. He's smart, so he is smart, so how can he be so dumb in our relationship? Thanks. Bewildered.
Okay, well, first of all, she's mentioned something very important here, that he has an extended history of drug use that started when he was in his teens.
Right.
And so what we know now about, we used to look at alcohol and drug as simply behavioral issues. The brain has a neuroplasticity. That means it's growing, it's wiring and firing and changing throughout our lives. And so if he began using drugs and alcohol as a teenager, then his brain literally wired and fired of that as an addict. So the brain of someone who is the same age, who did not have those kinds of experiences would be different. Also, when you begin to use drugs and alcohol, neurologically and emotionally, it stunts your growth.
Right.
So if he started as a teenager, think of all the things you learn in your late teenage years and through your 20s and your 30s. You learn about relationships. Men learn about women and dating and what's appropriate and what women expect, and you're forming that experience. And so if all your relationships are with like hookups and short-term relationships, you're not going to have the ability, you're not going to have the opportunity to learn those things.
Right.
Because we learn about relationships by being in them.
Right.
So rather than him being a bum, you know, he has really, through his drug and alcohol use, has really inhibited his own growth emotionally, and he's probably done some neurological damage. And so it can take years for that to heal and the brain to mature.
Right.
So he probably doesn't really understand when she tries to talk to him.
So do you recommend that couples like this, like, should they seek counseling? Should they seek life coaching? Like what?
Well,
everyone always wonders where to go.
Well, see, about this confession, we don't know if it's someone locally. I do know that locally I have not been able to find a lot of high quality therapists who understand addiction.
Right.
But I would certainly recommend a therapist who understands addiction and specializes in that.
Right.
That's very different than more generalized therapy.
Right.
And there are a lot of really great books. One of them is The User's Guide to the Brain. Although it's not about addiction, it talks about the brain and how it develops in neuroplasticity. And there are a lot of good books out there about loving someone who has addiction, how to set boundaries, and get a better understanding of what they're facing.
Get your ass on Amazon, get them books.
And Al-Anon for support for family.
My church used to have that. I always wonder what that was. Confessional. We're going to probably have to go to this one to fit this in.
Okay.
Which one would you prefer? Because you know these two.
Let's go with this one.
This one? Mm-hmm. All right. Get comfortable. This has got some body to it. I am a 52-year-old gay man. 5 years ago, I fell in love with the sweetest, sexiest man who happens to be 15 years younger than me. We had a lot of shared goals, habits, and interests, and a magnetic sexual attraction. Life was great, so we decided to fully commit to each other and go domestic. I have high wage earning capacity, so we decided I would continue in the career I love, but he would quit his dead-end job and be a house husband. In the early years, my husband was really into his body and shared my love of working out and being attractive. We both enjoyed a well-kept house, exotic meals that we would cook together.
Nice. I'm moving in.
Wonder if they ever had sex while cooking.
We don't know, Dan.
Okay.
Nor is it our business.
Okay. Over the years, much of that has fallen by the wayside. Today, 20 pounds heavier, which probably means 30, than he was, and committed instead of sporty workout clothes. He's often found wearing sweaty sweats, bag shorts with holes in them. I'll bet you have a slight odor. Gone is the well-kept house. We used to enjoy snuggling up in bed, share a bottle of wine, movie. Most days when I return home from work, the bed's messed. If I want to enjoy an exotic meal or any meal, I have to cook it. His new favorite meal is takeout. The guy who uses to engage in stimulating conversation.
Okay.
Now is addicted to talk shows, reality television. I feel like I've been bait and switched. I'm on the losing end. Signed, sophisticated, professional, partnered with trailer park trash.
Oh dear. Okay, this is fraught with issues.
I knew Ron wrote something in.
Well, first of all, it's interesting that they said that he left his job, even though it's a dead-end job. You know, jobs provide us with a lot more than just an income.
Right.
They provide us with an identity, they provide us with a structure to our days, weeks, and months, and they provide us with it, even if you don't enjoy your job, in some way you're contributing.
Right.
So when you duck out of the workforce, and nature abhors a vacuum, so what did you fill that time with?
Right.
So it could be that he's struggling because it doesn't say that they have children or a passel of pets.
Right.
And so there's a long day. So how is he filling that time? He may be struggling with identity issues. Also, excessive television watching for men can be associated with depression. So if he's lost his identity and filling his days, I wouldn't jump to the conclusion there's been a bait and switch.
So what's your recommendation? What should you do right now?
My recommendation is wait until things are going well, you've had a nice evening or a nice day, and then sit down and begin to have a conversation about this. But rather than saying, you've turned out to be a sweaty bum, you say, I'm feeling like maybe you're struggling, or that I sense that there have been changes, and what is it that you're feeling? Do you think that maybe you're missing work, or do you feel like maybe pursuing some education or some other opportunities might help you be happier and more fulfilled? I wouldn't jump to the negative conclusion. And just as an aside, I think saying sophisticated professional partnered with trailer park trash, there's an element of disrespect there, and it's always important to respect your partner because they're together now and they should honor that, and even if they should part, you still honor the good in the other
I've always
person.
considered myself slightly trashy.
Well, that's okay to self-identify.
So Monique, we're a little bit over, so you have 45 seconds for your last segment in closing. So tell them what's coming up.
Oh, in closing, remember, really think about your decisions. Go on Facebook, Coach Monique. This week's blog was about decisions and the processes. There's a lot of good information there, if I do say so myself. Next week, in 2 weeks, we're going to have thought awareness and correction. So we're going to look at negative thinking, and we're going to look at negative communication, and we're going to learn a non-judgmental way to make gentle correction to improve, to go to positive thinking.
Yeah. And anyone that was watching and with the T25 challenge or workout challenge or self-image challenge, get in touch with Monique through her Facebook page, Coach Monique. And thanks again to all of the viewers. Who are they again?
They're Mondo Club TV, Justin.tv, Smart TV, and Roku.
Roku. That's
Right.
the big one, I think.
It is. Also, go to CoachMonique.com. If you sign up for the newsletter and you like the Coach Monique Facebook page, then you'll get the weekly blog that has emotionally intelligent, common sense information.
So do you think she's a quack, or does she know what she's talking about in your experience of life coaching and getting to know Coach Monique?
I think she's top grade quality A.
Well, thank you, Lorraine. Thank you.
Packed with emotional intelligence to share with everyone.
And how do you like her new hair?
Love it.
Now,
Love
Dan,
it.
I'm surprised that you would ask that question, whether or not I was a quack.
Well,
So,
no,
there
I
will
think
be
that-
a penalty. There'll be a price to pay, Dan.
Hey, you want a strong exterior, trust me, because people still don't know what it is. So I think it's cool to hear people's true, honest opinions of what do you feel.
I love her idea of emotional intelligence. It's true, because I always said when you're thinking of something, if you can separate your emotion from the situation, you can deal with the situation a lot better rather than trying to deal with the emotion all the time. Deal with the situation.
And that's what emotional intelligence is, the ability to manage your emotions
Play that
and
pretty
the
music
emotions
as
of
we're
others
cutting out.
to work for you rather than against you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you,
Coach
Monique.
Thank
Lorraine.
you. Let's have a group hug.
Yay.
Someone's grabbing my mom.
No one is grabbing your ass.
Bye. Hey, Mama, bye.
You're gay. You're gay.
Bye.
You're gay.
Bye.